It's all going off in the world of transfers. Of course, Elliot Anderson making his £160 million move to Man City. Tonali looking like he could potentially go to Spurs. Meanwhile, we're here. We're sitting here. We're waiting to see what's going on with Mateus Fernandes. Well, according to Andy Mitten, trusted source, trusted journal, absolute legend. He is saying that Mateus Fernandes does want to play for Man United. He does want to be a Manchester United player. But we need to bid. Manchester United need to find an agreement. That's what we've been saying all along. Some people are trying to run with the narrative of how is he picking Spurs over us? Not true. Man United have priority from the player, but we have to stump up the cash. They want a bidding war, West Ham, and it looks like they're about to get one. But according to Andy Mitten, one thing that people have been getting twisted is that Mateus Fernandes has chosen Spurs over Man United. Simply not true. He does want to play for Man United. So it's over to you guys. It's over to Vivell. It's over to Wilcox. It's over to Barada, etc., etc. Make the deal happen or walk away because it's too much. Let me know what you guys are saying in the chat. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another transfer view on this very hottest since record began Friday. Here in the UK, it's crazy. And I would say just the UK. It's actually like across Europe. I saw France was like 43 the other day or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
You know, here in England right now, it has been sort of the same temperature as Dubai at sometimes, which is just incredible. Pushing over 40. So absolutely crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Like I was trying to set up the stream this morning. Absolutely crazy.
It's all going off. The heat didn't like it.
The heat does not like anything. I can see on my fan that's right next to me. It's like 30 in this room right now. The windows are open. The blinds are going. Yeah. Sweating. I got my Man United towel.
Get a dab on, bro. I got this little fan blowing from the right hand side, and I got the big boy, and I got this one, the big shark, the big shark from the left. Dual fans, bro.
Yeah,
dual fans. It's got to be done.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But I tell you, Flex, what isn't brutal, and I tell you what, you know what? I would be pretty cool right now. I'd be pretty relaxed, not too warm, not too clammy, not too sweaty. If only I was optimized. Here's how I can be optimized, Flex.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends Oxford Natural and their all new improved Optimum Day and Night. I've been using it and feeling the effects, Dr. Andre. But how does this even work?
Well, it controls energy. It helps with weight control and sugar control.
And there's day and there's night. What does the night do?
Well, the night means you get a deep, restful sleep. It contains magnesium to help you relax, but at the same time, it's still controlling sugar all night.
Now, it's not a magic pill, but it is gonna help you with your health goals, isn't it, Andre?
Changing metabolism takes time. 90 days, so take the 90-day Optimum Challenge.
So what are you waiting for? Scan the QR code on screen to get up to 70% off your first order using code UNITEDVIEW. No gimmicks, no needles, just results. Oxford Natural, let's get to work.
Yes, you can maybe scan that QR code right there in this time. But I mean, it's all going on. Do you know what I was just thinking, Flex, when that was playing? I was just thinking, like, I think it's just too hot. Everything's just malfunctioning. Everything's just malfunctioning. Nothing's working. Everything's breaking down. But I tell you what is up right now. That's the landing page. If you scan the QR code right there, you can subscribe and save up to 70% off your first order of Optimum Day and or Night. Whether that's Optimum, are you ready for the handover this morning, Flex?
Yes. I'm ready.
That's your handover. Optimum Day. There you go. Right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Which is good for curbing your cravings. All your Optimum Nights. There you go, Flex. Help you with your restorative sleep, which you might need in this heat. Yes. Keeps your metabolism firing while you rest. You can get optimized today. Scan the QR code. Get optimized today. Yes. Flex, are we going to get Matteas Fernandez, the drama, the saga that is the Matteas Fernandez transfer at the moment? We did see... It feels like all of the journos kind of repeat the same thing from the Spurs perspective over the last couple of days, which is Spurs are getting increasingly confident. They're maybe prepared to pay the 80 to 85 million pounds that maybe West Ham are looking for. But then you get the Manchester United side of things. We heard Sully say that, well, I'm standing with what the information that I have, which is Manchester United. They're still confident. We then have Andy Mitten from The Athletic on Talk of the Devils saying that from Manchester United's perspective, he still wants to come to the club. That would be his preference, would be to come to Manchester United. He said, quote, Manchester United understand that Matteas Fernandez wants to join the club. He would play for Tottenham, but he'd prefer United. West Ham want an auction for Fernandez. This bidding war that we've seen try to be put in place over the last however many days. It feels like years at this point. We keep hearing West Ham say, the price is the price. And the big news story, I don't even know how this was a news story, which was we're going to sell to the highest bidder. No shit. So, and then we kind of forget with all of this here, there is still no bid that has gone in for Matteas Fernandez from anyone at this point. So
no, that bit is interesting though.
Yeah. What do you make?
They're only going to sell. They're going to sell to the highest bidder. It is a no shit Sherlock, but it also is a bit interesting because sometimes what you can get is the player can actually hold some of the cards. I don't want to go to Spurs, so you can accept that bid all you want. I'm not going there. But actually, what they're saying is they're with that. Listen, we don't know. When push comes to shove, we'll see. Because when money's down on the table of guaranteed fees and add-ons and an actual offer, it changes the complexion of everything. It's all West Ham, 100%. Because nobody's blinked yet, nobody's put a bid yet. If I was them, I would be doing this. 85 or nothing. If you don't, valuation's not met, it's not leaving. You got to say all those things. Absolutely. Yeah. Annoying for us because we want to buy him. Probably annoying for Spurs. But it's annoying until somebody puts just a bid down. And that will tell us how serious West Ham are in looking at this 80 to 85 million price tag. Similarly, I know there's contrasting reports here. Look at what just happened with Elliot Anderson. The first bid, I can't remember how much exactly it was, but it got rejected because they wanted no add-ons and stuff, record-breaking 120 million. That's what we want. Then, so that got rejected. They went back to the table and all the big dogs, I know there's a couple of people still saying Forrest are saying this, but Ornstein, bro, even if you just take out all the noise, Ornstein is saying, obviously Fabrizio as well, don't want to discredit him. Them two are saying 116 no add-ons. I don't know where this Forrest thing's coming from 130. It's 116 guaranteed. Whether he wins the Ballon d'Or, Elliot Anderson, or whether he flops, it's 116 million pounds. So that is different, if this is true, to them saying 120 million or nothing. We rejected the last bid and this, that, and the other. So people hold it. My point is that people holding out for certain money, it's different when people come to the table and slap big money down. Do you know what I mean?
You think that's weird though? Like the way that was reported last night, like initially, like you said, it's 130 million, all up front guaranteed. And then very quickly, Manchester City tell everyone, no, it's not. No, it's 116. And then everyone, I'm just kind of stunned how everyone's just taken that as just complete gospel because Manchester City have told them that. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, they're probably the least credible people when it comes to transfer fees, in the world, allegedly, with everything that's going on at the moment. So, I don't know. I mean...
But Ornstein's, it's because Ornstein's dropping it as like, not that Man City say...
That's what Romano said there, didn't he? Romano, because someone called him out on it and said, why did you say 130 million and then change it to 116? And he said, well, that's because the Manchester City side are saying it's 116, whereas maybe the Forest side are saying 130. So that's why I sort of go, well, I get maybe you don't want to believe, as you would call him, Shugmarinakis, because he's going to try and spin any narrative he wants. But also so Manchester City are as well. I mean, let's not make a mistake here. I mean, allegedly, they have hidden fees and stuff like that in the past. So,
so they're not to be trusted. I just trust Ornstein. And listen, it could be subject to change, but if Ornstein says, I'll just read it here. Man City agreed to sign Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest in a deal worth 116 million, fee guaranteed with no add-ons. Record fee for City. I just think Ornstein is so diligent. He's not here for clicks. He's not here for misinformation. He only does things if he's certain. So that's the only, I'm not even doing it because City said it or because if Ornstein says it.
But then that's what I mean with that. Like you go, okay, where would he source that information from? I mean, he's not in the room, is he? Unless he's seeing, documents or anything like that. one would assume it would probably come from Man City or people close to the transfer, right? So I don't know. I'd say still watch that one about how much that actually is, because to your point, it would be really weird if, like, so what they wanted, a British record guarantee up front, which they technically have, haven't they? 160 million.
Well, this guy just said from the Telegraph, John Percy, he's just said that. Well, I say just said, it was 10 hours ago. It was interesting. For clarity and accuracy, Man City deal for Elliot Anderson is a club record by some distance, obviously eclipsing the 100 for Grealish, but the total fee is not a British record. The transfer is all cash up front with no bonuses and was agreed this evening. So he's basically
that's totally different to what was being put out there like a week ago, which was they want a British record free up front, no add-ons, and instead they haven't got that up front. They have got a whole cash deal, which is maybe that's why they've just gone like, oh, okay, well, there's no add-ons. This is straight into our bank account. Maybe
straight
that's
116, one transaction.
But again, you go back to the scrutiny that is surrounding Manchester City over financial things. Going, you can do a transfer. Asher. I know exactly, Asher.
It's hot,
exactly,
Asher. It's hot.
Exactly. Oh. No, I'll go find her.
Asher's doing a madness. Asher probably just wants to get out. She's probably saying, just let me out. Just let me out. But yeah, like, listen, the big domino has fallen during this market. Now, this is a domino that is super, super powerful, because Elliot Anderson, I think we can all agree, we'd say he's not worth 116 million pounds. Like, it's too much. 120 million, 116, this, that, and the other. But if he starts doing what we think he's going to do with City, no one's going to talk about the price tag. No one talks about Declan Rice's price tag. You know, Arsenal fans sing songs, you know, famously saying not enough. And now he's a Premier League champion with Arsenal. Moises Caicedo. I know Chelsea have been an absolute mess, but, you know, you look at him when he's on his top form, there's not too much discussion around that type of price tag. So those two have made it more normal for defensive midfielders or midfielders who don't get goals and assists, not that creative, to cost this much. Because usually with this type of money, you're saying, I want players in the top end of the final third who are deciding games for this type of money. As is the market of the modern day football, this type of player can be that. So it is too much for him. And now the dust has settled. Would you have been happy paying that? Now we know, Man United fans, what it would have taken to bring Elliot Anderson here. And obviously he chose City, so it wasn't even really that. 116 million up front right now.
I just think it's a really bad indictment of just, you know, there's a massive cloud over Manchester City at the moment, and, you know, about, you know, alleged financial impropriety or whatever. You know, when Pep was struggling 18 months ago, they went and spent how much in January? Was it like 250 million?
Yep.
Something ridiculous. They spent money last summer.
Big Reinders, Turkey,
and now they can do a transfer fee where, you know, like sometimes you hear the
January.
Exactly. You know, like sometimes you hear these transfer fees and they say total package of blah, blah, blah. And then you have to kind of go, well, yes, it is a total package of that, but they're only paying this amount now. That's how they can pull it off. You know, this is how it's structured. How on earth can Manchester City go and pay allegedly, you know, 130 million pounds cash up front? You know, that is like, surely that does raise questions. You know what I mean? But I mean, but
I've gone from 115 to 116, bro. And the Premier League, if we want to get into that type of, you know, the Premier League got questions to answer. You've got a team that's just freely spending like nothing. You know, I jokingly said in a clip that will be on Football Flex later, you know, this is not what I expected to see. You know, Pep Guardiola leaving, there's supposed to be some uncertainty. It's supposed to be a little bit, how's it gonna look? 116 straight away on they've broken their transfer record. Meanwhile, there's these big charges hanging over them. So,
well,
who knows?
Like Show says here, oh, and I'll be honest, that's just cope. We're mad because we can't compete. But I think it's it's not about mad not being able to compete. I think it's mad being like, well, can you compete if you're playing on what is viewed to be a fair playing field, right? I don't think that's the fact. I mean, I'm not sitting here complaining that Manchester City have, you know, broken these sort of records. I mean, my goodness me, Manchester United have done it so many times throughout the 90s and the early 2000s. I just sort of look at that and I don't know. I just sort of wonder. I just sort of wonder what that looks like. But maybe again, that's just the market now. Maybe again, the market is that. And now I suppose the concern would be is have Man City set a bit of a precedent of are these clubs going to be looking for when you've got to pay 100+ million? You've got to, you've got to pay it all up front. No more add-ons, no more structured deals. You want the cash up front. Because if that is the case where it goes, then Man United are in a lot of trouble, because we know we don't really and can't really do that whole big cash up front kind of shit. In fact, when we did do that, we did it for Anthony, didn't we? That was a cash up front deal. Well, majority up front deal. Didn't really work out, did it? That Anthony cash up front transfer. So
Mad.
I don't know.
We are gonna, but what it does show, like, prices. It shows, like you said, it's an indictment on the market. You're looking at this Tonali situation that keeps brewing. Spurs have had a bid knocked back for Tonali. You're following certain things where they're still trying to get him. Arsenal have bid for Bruno Guimaraes. Opening talks 55 million. Obviously, they told them no, but Romano's saying they're going to go back in. So Newcastle are getting raided at the moment. Haven't even got to Lewis Hall yet. So if you want to try and negotiate for these type of players, and then you're West Ham, and you're seeing when you're seeing this type of demand in the market for central midfielders as well, and there's a lot that are available, it just drives the price right up. Alex Scott's another one who's been mentioned. Shout out Bentley. I was listening to him this morning. I see a clip of him this morning. He's going, Elliot Anderson, mate, I'd rather save 60 million and get Alex Scott. There's no way that Elliot Anderson is 60 million better than Alex Scott. Now, listen, that's open to debate about where you want to be. But, when we're trying to build a squad and we're trying to be competitive and try and fix multiple things, this might be the route we have to go down. Now, people will see that as, again, Glazonomics. People will see it as how the mighty have fallen. Look at Spurs being more ambitious than us. Arsenal going again from a position of strength. City have done this. We're playing catch up. Liverpool will get Yandy Amande probably for 100 million euros, and we'll look like the cheapskates on the side who can't do anything. But it's going to be really difficult, because I don't think we're really willing to talk about, like, it. We might have to have some windows that look like this in the lead up to actually constructing something sustainable. We still have to get good players, 100%. But I think it's clear we're not going to be in the market for 100+ million, 90 million.
But I think that this is the kind of point I was making, because Show says that 160 million for Anderson is the market, 85 million for Fernandez is the market, 100 million pounds for Dimiande is the market. Pay up or shut up. And I don't disagree with that. I don't. I just think if
you want that player,
which again, I don't disagree with that. However, I think the bit where what we really should be concerned about is Manchester United can do an 85 million pound transfer for Matteas Fernandez. Manchester United could do a 100 million pound transfer for Diamande. Manchester United could theoretically do a 116 million pound deal for Elliot Anderson. However, what Manchester United can't do is how those deals are structured. So if Manchester United couldn't offer 116 million pounds upfront for Elliot Anderson, we couldn't do that, because of our sins of the past and because of our financial shape. We couldn't do 85 million pounds up front for Matteas Fernandez with what else we've got to do in this window as well. So that's why I worry about the Elliot Anderson one. And I mentioned that being a bit of the domino effect. If other clubs start looking at that Elliot Anderson transfer and go, well, we want a bit of that in terms of the price, but also we want a bit of that of how that deal is structured, we're going to ask for the majority of that up front. West Ham might go down to Spurs. I tell you what, not only if you pay 85 million, we'll accept the offer, but if you give a big chunk of that up front for us, then we're definitely going to accept it. And then it's a double question for Man United, isn't it? It's one, do we put the bid in? First of all, do we go that high? And two, can we even structure a deal that way? Right? Can we even put that together that way? So that would be the concern, I think, for me. But I go back to what we were talking about earlier on, which is still, a bid still has yet to go in for Matteas Fernandez from anyone.
And when you look at the Spurs thing,
remarkable.
There's still the Sammy Mockball situation that I was talking about the other day, where it looked like they were going after Fernandez so hard because they'd been knocked back with the Tonali bid for around 80 million pounds. But I've read stuff today saying that they're still trying to get Tonali. They're still trying to do that. Well, also, Spurs are trying to. Well, yeah, it's very interesting.
Resubmitted the same bid. They did the Football Manager FIFA career mode shit, which you go, let me just press that again.
It's a glitch in the game.
Let me press that again. I don't know. That came back red. Like, should be green. I'm going to press it again. It was like me trying to work this out this morning. This should work.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't know. So Like, they're still trying to get Tonali. And, you know, a lot of big reporters are saying that Tonali is keen on that. You like, obviously, 2 Italians, you would play for De Zerbi. Package is kind of agreed player side. They're just trying to work out a fee. So, you know, Spurs are probably in a situation where they're like, we're happy to pay 85 million for Fernandez, definitely. However, if we can just put the price up a little bit, we could actually get Tonali. He actually wants to join us. So maybe it is worth paying, I don't know, 95 million for Tonali. And that's where I was sort of looking at it saying, I'm relatively calm, but at the same time, I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with sort of a transfer saga for Matteas Fernandez. It's like, if it's that deep, then should we not just pivot to Tonali and be like, well, if you are considering laying down 80, 85 million for Fernandez, just go and get Tonali.
Well, I have a question for you, Flex, right? Because I've mentioned this quite a lot over the last 18 months for Man United in the transfer market. Because I do think a lot of the noise, and like you said, this saga, when it comes to Matteas Fernandez, it feels very one-sided. And maybe that's just cope, but you look at all of these reports that have come out over the last, let's say, 5 days or so, right? From the weekend to kind of now, it all feels so from the Spurs perspective, from the West Ham perspective, from the George Mendes perspective, right? You know, Spurs think they're growing in confidence. Spurs are growing in confidence. You go, well, that's a Spurs report then. That's coming from Spurs. If you're saying that Spurs are growing confident, that's coming from them. West Ham, or it's been put out to the clubs that it's going to go to the highest bidder. Matteas Fernandez is going to go to the highest bidder. Well, that's coming from West Ham, George Mendes then. We don't really get loads from United, do we? We get a bit from like Sully or the others, which is still like, you know, Man United are interested. They still think they're leading the race. That's the only update we're really getting, isn't it? They're still in talks. They still think they're front of the line. That's it. We don't hear anything else. Everything else we've heard over the last 5 days or so, in my opinion, is coming from George Mendes, West Ham, and Spurs. West Ham to the sense of, we're going to keep trying to get a bidding war going, because if we get a bidding war going, that raises the price. If we can get Spurs to bid, if we can get Spurs and convince them enough that if they bid for the player, they'll get him, that automatically makes Manchester United have to bid, right? The moment that Spurs put down 80 million or 85 million, Man United then have to decide, right, are we going to go for that? We're going to match it, or are we walking away? What are we going to do? So it's West Ham's benefit to get Spurs to bid. If they can get Spurs to bid, if they can get the message across to Spurs, Matteas Fernandez would be interested. He does want to join you, but you've got to go put a bid in first, because Man United haven't put a bid in. Then that changes everything. But that hasn't happened just yet. So it does feel like, I don't know, there is this kind of desire to get Spurs involved, to get a bidding war going, to get, you know, something happening from another club. Because if it does, then obviously then Man United put the bid down. But then naturally the response to that would just be, well, United then just put a bid in. You could ignore all this. you can get rid of all of this if you're not playing around, right? If you're not playing around and doing these discussions. And also well, why don't you just sort of convince him to do what Šeško and Mbeumo and Cunha did last year, when you get him to say United or nobody else? But maybe he can't do that until a bid goes in. But is that a Mexican standoff, basically?
You know what I mean? What I'm saying. Like, also, that's us living in a bubble of, like, you think football transfers work like that every single time. And Andy Mitten has said he wants to join Man United. You know what I mean? A player can say, I want to go there. You can also say, I only want to go there. But guess what? A club can treat you like a piece of shit. A club can say, listen, I know you want your dream move over there, but we're only accepting what is best for West Ham Football Club. We're in a dire situation. We're in the Championship. We've got a change of structure all around us. The fans are on us. Sorry, Mateus. Like, we're leading this. You will have options.
That's the other thing as well, Flex. I do think West Ham are trying to portray that things aren't as chaotic as they actually are right now at West Ham. That's the other thing too. We saw that last night, didn't we, with those reports going, actually financially they're fine. They're going to be putting in 90 million or 100 million or something like that. And because of that, yeah, they think they're going to sell a couple of players, but it's not as chaotic as you think it is behind the scenes there. And they got this new takeover, and it's, you know, it's going to be fine. It's all going to be okay. And they've told Nuno that actually he's going to keep some of his best players next season in the Championship. So I think they're maybe trying to push back on maybe what United's strategy was, which is, look, this team's just been relegated. They need money by the end of June. They've got their co-owner in a lot of hot water right now, and he's probably going to go. Probably, shares are going to be sold, and blah 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 blah. But if they, if that is reality, then Man United would be right to be like, let's wait till the 30th of June and see what happens, or let's wait till the 29th of June and then put a bid in and see, if they're all talk then. But West Ham are trying to put across it. No, that date can come and go. We're fine. We're putting money into the club, no problem. So it still feels like, and this is like you said with the saga side of it, that this is the tiring part, isn't it? If every couple of hours you get a report, or a brief from one side, which is trying to dispute basically what the other side is saying. Man United are waiting because they know West Ham are in poor financial shape. West Ham then put out, we're putting into 100 million into the club. We're fine. Man United feel like they're the front runners and he only wants to come to United. Then it comes out, Spurs are interested and Spurs are growing in confidence. You know what I mean? Everything just kind of contradicts the other side. And I think for some of that we know is so important, and a midfield rebuild, I don't think people have a lot of patience for the saga. And to your point, there has also been this discussion of like, is this a player worth sagaing for?
Exactly.
If you will, is this, but again, is that the market? I don't know. I think myself and a lot of people are just really confused by this transfer market at this point of like, what are these values? And like, what are these posturings? And what are the financial rules anymore? I don't know. It's just, along with the heat, it's just draining, isn't it? You just go, okay. Just tell us one way or the other if we're going to get him or not. You know what I mean? If it came out today, right, he is going Spurs, let's have our meltdown and then move on. You know what I mean? and get on to someone else, because I suppose the longer that time goes on, the twitchiness will continue. Yeah. And then also you get the discussion of, hey, if we're taking this long on one player, hey, we need like 3 or 4. Like where the other ones coming from.
And that's just it. And listen, this might be, and then there's the thing of this could just be the most difficult deal to do. And it's just the one that's taking the longest and the rest are sort of lined up. Then people say, why are you not working on the others? Where's the other easy ones? And we're just, the truth is we can come on here every single day and say, keep calm, or I understand people getting angry, or let's get angry now, and this, that, and the other. And the truth is it's just going to just be so frustrating for the whole summer. I said it before the window even opened. This is why I was excited, nervous, apprehensive, and anxious all in one, and scared all in one, because it's the same. And, there's just so much upgrades happening all around, and so much change happening all around. You do just want the season to start, window to be closed, know who you got, and just let's see what this thing looks like. And we never really, because we know we need so much, we don't really talk about the players that we've got already that are actually good and can get better next year.
It's funny you say that
at all. It's funny you say really well for Ivory Coast now, and it looks really good. Cunha's announced himself on the world stage.
I was just going to say about Cunha. I was watching him the other day.
There's other stuff actually happening in the background, and we're going, the surf's worldwide. Like, this is a big moment. This is really good. He's our player. Yeah. And look, because I understand it's like, well, because if we don't,
but you don't want to hear that, do you?
Season, you don't want to hear it. But I'm just talking about all of it in one bubble and why this is going to be so frustrating. Because I get it, I do get the frustration.
Yeah,
I'm moving slow.
I know what you mean, because I saw obviously Cunha at the World Cup and playing quite well. People talking about him. You go, he's Man United player, like he's a good player, and you go, he should be better next season. But we can't think like that, can we? We can't, because then you get into the mindset of possibly settling. Oh, that's all right. Actually, I don't need that new TV. The old one still works. Hey, the sound's going on. The sound's going on it. Yeah, but we can get through it for another year.
But the picture's still good.
But we can't really watch on certain channels anymore. But if you hit it hard enough, maybe sometimes it might work. So no, we still need to be getting the players, but it's when is the time to look at those alternatives? And maybe the concern also is we don't still really know who those alternatives are, what they really look like. There was a thing from Sky yesterday, wasn't there, saying about how Arsenal and Man United might be leading the race for Alex Scott. But everything feels much looser than the Matteas Fernandez one, doesn't it? And everything else feels a lot more sort of monitoring, having a look. Oh, they admire him, that kind of thing. And as time goes on between that Edison, here we go, and something else. I mean, since the Edison, here we go. I mean, we haven't put a bid in for a player since then.
No, and it clearly looks like it's the imminent bid. You'd like to think is going to be Mateus Fernandez. Just when and how much for?
Yeah,
and does it get accepted? What is going to be so interesting is 100% is who bids first and how much for? You know, because for all Spurs are, you know, like I said, it's just gone back to, we're here and they're happy to pay this. Imagine they just go in there with like, I don't know, 75 million or something like that, 70 million, you know? Maybe that might be the domino we need or something. It might not even be as much as we thought it would be. If they do go straight in, like you said, do we even try the cheeky, well, we're still going to offer lower than that? Do you know what I mean? And make Fernandez angle and try and push. And then it longs out even more to save 10, 15 million pounds. There's just so many ways this can go, but just bid. What do we bid?
And again, it does make you wonder with like even the Spurs side of thing, because if Spurs were increasing in confidence, and we've seen that they're more than willing to put bids in and big money bids in because they've done it twice for Tonali now. Why haven't they done that for Matteas Fernandez just yet? You know, if you were confident, you know, if that was the case, why haven't you done that? Maybe that implies that, and this is the thing we've seen quite a bit over the last week or so. A lot of the accounts online or social media, I think quite a few people have jumped the gun a couple of times of how close Spurs have actually been to kind of completing it. Again, over the weekend, there was a few days ago, there was a bit of a freak out, wasn't there? Because it was like, you know, Matteas Fernandez is full verbal agreement with Spurs, blah, blah, blah. And then nothing's really happened in the sort of 48 hours since then. So maybe that would suggest that that whole verbal agreement thing was a little bit jumping the gun a bit, because again, if you've got a verbal agreement, surely you would put a bid in then. You know, you've done the player side of things, and why wouldn't you have put the bid in? So, and if Spurs are more than willing to meet that 85 million pound mark, then why wouldn't you just end this whole saga and put the bid in and get the deal done? But they haven't yet. So that would maybe suggest that once more the interest in Fernandez from both teams is clearly very real, but maybe it's not as far along as some of those, you know, posts or reports have suggested it is, because if you've got a full verbal agreement with the player, then surely the next step is bid goes in. Even if it is a bid that's below the valuation, we know Man United love the whole 3-bid roulette, don't we? We do the low one, the middle one, and then the one which they actually wanted. Why wouldn't have that process started? So the lack of a bid is quite curious. And if the lack of a bid is, you know, and maybe because you know what I would think as well, you know, like they're saying about United that, you know, they might be waiting until the end of the month because of the finances, blah, blah, blah. Who's to say that Spurs don't think the same thing as well, right? Because it kind of does feel like, I don't know, West Ham and Spurs are somehow on the same team. Like they're working together better than Manchester United are working with West Ham. Maybe that's not the case too. I don't know. It feels like a lot with this transfer that there's a lot of speculation and not a huge amount of fact involved in this one. And no one really knows. Every time I think Fabrizio does a video, he keeps saying like, oh, this is one of the most fascinating transfer stories and etc. And I don't know about you. When I hear that, I go, I don't want to be part of a fascinating transfer story. I want to be part of a boring one, a simple one.
Yeah.
And I move on to the next one.
But if we were the guys that were consistently on the right end of these deals, you know, and the players worked out and we had the money and, you know, we were in a different space where the money that we would spend on big transfers was actually working, we'd probably have a different say so. But yeah, I agree. This is too complex. And look, this is going to be so full of predictions. As I'm saying, X is going to drive a lot of people's opinions of what we should be doing because you've seen more noise about this and that. I would just urge everybody to just take your time and come to your own conclusions. You know, I think it is important to look at what Ineos have been saying to us as well, like versus, because also it does feel like we've forgotten everything that was laid out that we kind of agreed with. So let's say like Omar Barada talking with Andy Mitten. Some people see it as spin and there's a load of bollocks or whatever. Ineos trying to bring prices down so we don't overspend and do stupid stuff and give players too big a contract. I remember when those things were happening, it was, too right. Obviously, we've got some sins of the past. It's going to take us a while to get rid of them. So it was, you know, Anthony, it was Onana, had to get another loan. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, look at it.
It's Hoyland only just happened now. You know, Garnacho, listen, I know it weren't a sin of like, you know, we bought him, but you know, to try and undo it, get rid. We've done the same with Sancho. Look at that. He's only just left now. You still got Mason Mount there on huge wages. Casemiro's now gone. We're just undoing things. We are still
Rashford situation.
The Rashford situation, which he still might even be our player. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is that we, in those moments when the transfer window's not open, so our focus is on talking about rebuilding our football club, we're more receptive to these type of conversations. Yeah, that makes sense, you know. Yeah, because you know what? If there is the opportunity to go and do some stupid, no, where's the scouts? Get quality. Why does everyone have to cost? Other people do it. They find quality. Let's do that. Yeah, don't put people on 260 grand a week all the time. No, too much money. But then when we get to this bit, which is where we have to lock in and maybe be disciplined to actually follow that through, I'm saying I'm talking about me. It's really hard. It's really hard to remember those conversations that you had 6 months to a year ago of how you're going to rebuild within now to 2028 when we want to win the league. And it's very, very difficult to stay locked in to that way of thinking when you're seeing this team buying that team's changed manager. Because then you're going, oh my God, we're going to get left behind. Like, we're going to have to break the mold of what we were saying. And that's where we have to keep calm and remember what we're trying to actually achieve.
Which is fair, and I agree with that, because with the Onana situation, it's got to be another loan. Why? Because he's not going to take a pay cut, because his contract's going back up at the moment because of the Champions League stuff, right? So I totally agree. However, what doesn't help that, and what's like sort of stokes the flames and fans the fire, is when you do have the reports from like David Ornstein come out going, "Hey, Man United, I think there's going to be probably going to be the busiest club this transfer window, right?" Or when the rebuild gets built up so much and so hyped up. When
is that just Ornstein's opinion? His opinion is that?
Yeah. And look, he's allowed to have it. But the problem, and this is when I think you have to, and this is where it's really hard, because David Ornstein is incredibly credible, obviously, the most credible. And even if it is his opinion, people are going to listen to that, aren't they? And go, well, Man United are going to be busy then. We should be busy. Or even if he didn't say that, you would go, right, these players are going, midfield rebuild. We need to get these players in. And it's been hyped up so much that we're going to be getting players in and what have you. So if there is a perceived inactivity, which this is the problem as well. It's perception, isn't it? Right? When we don't hear anything, the perception is that we're just sort of sitting on our hands, not doing anything at all, which is not the case. But
exactly.
When that happens, there is going to be panic, and there is going to be questions. There is going to be discussion of, well, not that we were promised one thing, because I don't know if we were ever like promised, we're going to sign 5 players, and we're going to sign
exactly
6 players,
that's
or anything like that.
X has promised us that.
But that cannot be sort of the reason why. We never said we were going to get 5-6 players. We've only got 2. That's on you. Oh no, you still got to do your job. You know what I mean? So there is a balancing act there as well. I think there is maybe a case of, was the window maybe overhyped in terms of importance? Perhaps. But at the same time, there was a lot of, real genuine opinion and discussion of, well, Man United have had a really good second half of the season. They're back in the Champions League. They've got Casemiro going. They haven't had a midfield for like a decade, basically. They need to get a new one. They're going to get a new one. They need to get a bigger squad. And if the perception is that they're dragging their heels on doing that, or they're haggling over small amounts of money to not get, and end up not getting a player, and the opposition around us get stronger, then that's going to lead to a lot of frustration, isn't it? So I think that's the balancing act. I think you're totally right, whereby we do have to hold our nerve, because we have put ourselves in the position of not being able to move on players in the past because of stupid transfers and overpaying and getting desperate. However, that can't be used as a total excuse of, why didn't you go and get this player? Or why did you miss out when you could have got him? Well, sins of the past. You go, okay, but you do need to get someone. You know what I mean? What we can't have is the window shut and sort of go, no, well, at least we took care of ourselves financially and not got the player.
No,
like, well, you're going to be out of the Champions League next season if you do that.
That's not, I say that's not going to happen. You can't say it's definite, but we're going to buy players. But we're going to buy players. And also, there's 2 months left of the window. So again, all of the frustrations and questions posed, I'm involved in these questions. I'm involved in some of these frustrations. I'm adding myself into this. I'm just trying to think of the other side. I go, well, there is still 2 months. Mateus Fernandes is still a West Ham player. He's not a Spurs player. He's not a Spurs player.
Bid's gone in.
West Ham. No bid's gone in. So until such times as it does, then a new round of conversations will have to arise. A new sort of insecurities or frustrations will have to be voiced. But as of now, it is still as you were. Yes, we're hearing noises. Someone screenshotted what Ornstein was saying last year when it was the Benjamin Sesko thing with Newcastle. They put the bid in, mate. Leipzig prefer that. More money. Yeah. And then it was like, well, okay, what are you going to do? Because he wants to go to Man United. And then obviously we came and got him. We do forget things like this. There's 2 whole months of this window. Let's wait and see how this thing plays out. We were never, the Anderson one was never our thing. We knew this formation.
We knew for a while ago. Yeah.
Just leave that. Just almost ignore it happened. Just ignore it. We were never in for him. He was never going to come to Man United. We were never going to pay that. And he didn't want to come here. He didn't want to play here.
Do you know what it's like? It's like being 2-0 up, right? It's like being 2-0 up. You need to win the Prem or qualify for the Champions League or whatever. And because right now I still feel like we get Matteas Fernandez, right? But it's like we're playing Spurs and they've scored a goal and there's like 10 minutes to go. And you go, I think we'll get him, but they might equalize. They might. And then you never know what could happen there. It's kind of that kind of nerves. Because if someone was asking me the other day, you still feeling calm about it? I am staying pretty calm about it. And I still think we end up getting with Matteas Fernandez because I think there's a lot of noise around him, but not a lot of actual, substance, a lot of things actually happening, action. But I'd be lying if I said that as the days go on and you see more reports, if you didn't get twitchy, we all would. And I think it goes down to what we've discussed a lot before, which is how much do you trust this new regime to get it done and get it done the right way? How much do you, after last season, do you trust them going, look, I know we're not hearing anything and I know we're getting a lot of noise from the Spurs side, but I trust them. They had a really good summer last summer. They'll do it again. Or is it going, I know they had a good summer last summer and the last 18 months, but they've also made a shit ton of really bad decisions. And was last summer them getting it right? Or was last summer them kind of stumbling into something that actually worked out in the end, right? Even with Carrick and Ruben and all that kind of stuff, right? Because they'd have Ruben to the end of the season. So it goes back to trust, isn't it? How much do we trust those people in charge to pull it off? Because let's say they have 3 or 4 really solid summer windows behind us, and then we're in this kind of saga. Would we be that kind of worried? Probably not, because we go, look, there's so much evidence of we get involved in these all the time, but we get them and we get them for the right amount. But we still don't really have that much of a sample size on how good Ineos are in the market. They had a good summer last summer. Season before that, hit and miss, you know what I mean? And we don't know. We don't know if they finally got it right or they just a bit fluky last year. So I think it goes down to the trust. That patience and that calm that you're talking about, I think it goes down to how much you trust those people to get that, get those jobs done. Because we also think about from City's perspective, actually, with the whole Elliot Anderson one, it's in their prerogative to do something big this summer because Pep's just left, right? They need to send out the message that, oh, Pep's gone, but don't worry, we're still getting big players and we're still going to be sticking around. And we've got Enzo Maresca coming in and what have you. So, yeah, I think it comes down to trust, Fleck. How much trust do people have?
Well, we don't have a lot of it. Exactly.
And the answer would be not a lot. That's why, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've still got to prove themselves. But also, I do sympathize to an extent because they can't win. Because if they get the player, but they spend 85 or 80, it'll be, you said you weren't going to do that.
Trust is in the bin.
And if you walk away, it'll be walking away from a transfer. Penny pinch.
Exactly. Speaking out both sides of your mouth, watch it shut the club down. Don't make any decisions. Don't mind them. I was reading a lot about Spurs, just doing my research about all football and stuff, and you see the Lewis family. There's a lot of reports from all of the big Spurs journalists saying Lewis family are committed to actually changing the culture, changing the finances, changing the playing staff, and injecting cash and really doing what they say they're going to do. They're aware it's going to take a lot of time because trust is completely broken, but they're committed and they've started the early signs of it. Early signs, And I think that's what it is. You have to have an understanding when you're owners that have done something bad for a long, long time. And in this situation, minority owners that have inherited absolute dross from what the majority owners have done, who still don't give a shit to this day. You've signed up for it. You've signed up to take the heat of all of the past failings, unfortunately, even though those weren't your fault, and then being judged from here on out. And we did give them praise last year. I don't care what anyone says. If you want to do this, I don't care. Brown envelope, glazing up. Like, if you want to do that, that's up to you. Last window was very, very good. 4 players. Does that mean that that's the exact window we need now? No, the demands are different now. The stakes are higher now. The improvement has been gone. This is level 2 now. Do you know what I mean? So we've had level 1. We're on to level 2. So you have to go and prove that you can up the ante. But you can give credit for that last bit of business that we did do, and obviously getting rid of the manager, which helped. So now it's about the next phase. But because we don't know what that looks like, we don't know where it's going to lead to, we don't know who we've got yet, can't judge it. I can't judge something that hasn't happened yet. It's not good to just do the rolling commentary judging every day. Every day that goes past without a bid, you're failing, you're shit.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think there is, and this is always the case of the transfer windows. A lot of the time, there is negativity for negativity's sake. Misery loves company, as they say.
Exactly.
And then there is a lot of that's going on. There is, because of the mistakes the club has made over the last decade or so. There is the Man United bad, rah, rah, rah. Even, when we could still sign Mateus Fernandes, right? That's the thing. We could
Probably
still
will.
and I still think we will. Yeah, exactly. So there is that. And we kind of did see that last season, didn't we? Of
And Boomer,
that
same thing. It took ages, isn't it? It took 8 weeks.
Well, I meant more in terms of like where we finished in the league. Like second half of the season, we got more points than anyone else, and there was still this, Man United bad, rah rah rah. And you sort of go, well, I don't know, I don't know about that, but it's just twitchiness, like we said. The moment that other clubs start moving, and it was all right when Man United were the first club to move because the Edison one happened really, really quickly. It was great.
We did.
And then when other clubs start to sign players, because we always forget this, we're not the only club. There are other clubs out there. When they start to sign players, we start getting nervous, don't we? So, I think, and I put myself into this sometimes. I think we are quite gullible in falling for sometimes the transfer stories. Like Man United does get used a lot, and I just, this Matteas Fernandez one, from again, just my perspective, just screams of a lot of the info just comes from one side as opposed to the United side. A lot of it does come from the West Ham side, the Spurs side. And when we hear that, I think it's just, that means we're doing nothing. When that isn't necessarily totally the case. And then, of course, it then leads to the discussion about, like, Tchouaméni, of if you are going to spend 80 million, would you go and get Tchouaméni instead? But I don't know. I look at that one as almost even worse because he's not even available at the moment. At least Mateus Fernandez is technically available. I mean, the thing we keep hearing about the Tchouaméni, and it's another one from Andy Mitten, where he said that if Real Madrid told him he can go, or Real Madrid said to him, we're selling you, then he would be open to going to Manchester United. But he's not even available yet. That hasn't even happened. We're talking about a bid not even going in for Mateus Fernandez. There's not even be the, Tchouaméni, you can go. So why you would stop going after a player like Mateus Fernandez in an effort to go for a player that might not even be available just yet would be madness. It would be real madness, wouldn't it? It'd be another thing if it was, we're going after Mateus Fernandez. Oh, and Tchouaméni's, Real Madrid have said you can go. All right, maybe we pivot and maybe we don't go get that player, but that hasn't happened yet. So what do we do then? For a player that hasn't happened. So. Yeah, it is frustrating. We got a bunch of super chats, Fleck. Gaz says, "Hi guys, how reliable is Andy Mitten? Is he an athletic correspondent? Keep up the good work." Andy Mitten's very reliable, isn't he, Fleck? You know what I mean?
Very reliable, very prominent Manchester United journalist. Does do work at the Athletic, but also freelances and does work for many big publications and outlets. So Andy Mitten is definitely very reliable. Some people have tried to question that now. Puppet, because you got let in to do the interview with Barada. Can't trust him. Absolute nonsense. Andy Mitten is one of the best in the business, mate. That's what Andy Mitten is.
Well,
and he isn't really like transfer. Like, he's not like Ornstein and Roman. He's not trying to break news of transfers to be like. He's not that.
No, and he's not
professed to be that.
And he's not. Yeah, he's not a journo in that sense. I mean, people forget he's United We Stand fanzine. He's been doing it for 30 odd years or something like that, probably longer. I think
proper Man United fan.
Man United fan. Again, Man United fan, and then maybe probably like journo sort of second, but more so of a journo of like when you've been doing it that long, when you've been standing outside Old Trafford in the pissing rain or in the heat with the United We Stand fanzine, you make connections in the club, and that's why. So yeah, he is the real deal. And to be honest, anything you do hear from him, not in the sense of he's a puppet, probably is him going to the club going, what's the latest on this? And they're saying that's the latest. So if you do want to hear maybe the Man United side of it, then he is quite reliable for something like that. Felix the Cat, like the adverts, is the latest member of the UB Members Club. Show says, main issue is we have owners that can't compete with the elite. 27, 28 title charge promised, but season before we're being blown out the water.
Well, we don't know. Let the window finish. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know if we're being blown out the water. We don't know. We actually don't know that. There's 2 months. You don't know who we're going to sign. You could be right, by the way, by the end of it. But I just don't think one player has moved. One.
Well,
significant.
And also the other part would go when you said about we have owners that can't compete with the elite. I would go back to Manchester City and say once again, what are you competing with? That's the other thing to
compete with cheating.
Man United cannot compete with Manchester City financially. They are a state-owned club. Man United aren't that. That we're competing with a country there, and that makes the whole 115 charges thing so complicated because You are punishing not just a football club, you're punishing potentially a country. That's the issue there. So in terms of competing, no, we can't. We can't compete with that. Fan Verdict Football says PSG spent 130 million pounds on all of their 3 midfielders. Ant says, reckon Ineos waiting to see about Tchouaméni first. The Web Fear says, I may be alone, but I'm not really fussed. With current noise for our transfer market plans, I'm feeling oddly calm about it all. Maybe it helps that the World Cup's also on too. Kind of a bit distracting. You know what I mean? If it was just nothing apart from the transfers, that would
when
be
the World
really
Cup
tedious.
ends, or towards the latter stages when a lot of countries have gone home, you'd like to think things will pick up for sure.
Yeah. SD Ferrer says, as you guys said, the stories seem a bit too one-sided from Tottenham West Ham. We should also not panic. It's the middle of the World Cup. Action will pick up mid-July, as we just said. And Ray says, my advice to Ineos, stop talking and just do, because they shoot themselves in the foot. I mean, we don't know if they have yet. That's the thing as well.
Exactly, we don't know.
Because this is the other thing. When you say, like, Ineos keep talking, I mean, they kind of don't. I mean, they do. I mean, we've heard Omar Barada do some interviews. But
we've heard more from the decision makers that we've ever heard. I think that's healthy. It's been in a healthy dose. And people can choose to say that's bullshit and like trying to spin the ball over our eyes. Or you can look at it and say, it's good. I think it's good that you provide a bit of clarity, not every single day. And they're proceeding to also potentially, which it looks like, stick to the things that they've told us as well. So
careful, Fleck. Best in class, mate. Best in class, mate. Well, it's best in class. Edison was the best in class. No, so
exactly.
Should be ashamed of yourself, mate. Fake fan.
Yeah. Fake fan, mate. Fake fan. So there you go. All super chats done, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. In this room that I'm in, it's absolutely baking. I need to get out of it. It's just I can't
believe my camera's survived. By the way.
Yeah, well done. And
I got a new fan on it. I got a new fan on the back of it. That's why. So that's the one. That's the one thing that did work this morning. Everything else didn't.
Actually, it's hot. It's hot, man.
It's really hot. Like the fans just
as well. The
fans blowing hot air at this point. It's just recycling.
I need to. Let's get off this, guys. Have a wicked day. Have a blessed day. If you're out in the sun in the UK, protect yourself.
Stay safe.
Have more water than you think you need. Stay safe. Get factor 50 plus whatever else factors you need.
Keep the animals safe as well. Yeah.
Keep the animals safe. Keep the kids safe. Keep the elderly safe.
Yes.
And the vulnerable.
Yeah.
And enjoy yourselves. And have a blessed day. If anything happens, of course, we'll bring it to you. But my God, we got to go. Oh, we got to go. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Peace.